Part 3. The Shadow Planet Empire of Celesta then decides to attempt to establish a research outpost on one of the asteroid belts in the solar system, and thus, the attempted establishment of the research outpost is begun. The asteroid belt is a treacherous place, a vast expanse of space littered with countless chunks of rock and ice, some as small as a house and others large enough to rival entire planets in size. The asteroids orbit the Sun in a haphazard path, occasionally crossing the orbits of the inner planets and presenting a grave danger to any spacecraft unfortunate enough to find itself in their way. It is here, among these celestial bodies, that the Empire of Celesta has chosen to establish its research outpost. The site, selected for its relative safety and proximity to the asteroids, is a hollowed-out asteroid itself, its interior carefully carved out to create living and working spaces for the scientists and support staff. Giant machines and equipment line the walls, humming with power as they extract precious metals and other resources from the surrounding asteroids. The airlock door hisses open, admitting a team of engineers and construction workers. They are a diverse group, hailing from various corners of the Empire, each bringing their own unique skills and expertise to the table. The lead engineer, a stern-faced woman named Alexis, barks out orders as they begin to set up equipment and prepare for the next phase of the operation. "All right, everyone," she says, her voice echoing through the asteroid's interior. "We've got a tight schedule to keep. Let's get these shield generators installed and begin extracting resources from these rocks." The engineers spread out, each taking charge of a team and heading towards their designated work areas.
The Empire of Shadowstein then decides to attempt to locate and colonize the dark planet world mentioned in the ruins. Shadow Emperor Alpha, Shadow King Mordecai, Shadow Queen Lilith, and Shadow Lord Lothar meet in the throne room of Shadowstein. Their faces are grim as they discuss their plan. "We must be cautious," Shadow Emperor Alpha says, his voice grave. "The knowledge of the dark planet was kept secret for a reason. Who knows what dangers might await us there?" Shadow King Mordecai nods in agreement. "I will lead the expedition personally. I will not fail you, my emperor." He bows his head respectfully. "No, you shall not," Shadow Emperor Alpha says, pausing and waiting for a result. "It is my duty, my destiny, to lead this expedition. I will not shirk from it." Shadow King Mordecai replies, his voice steady. "I shall lead it myself, for personal reasons you all could never understand," Shadow Emperor Alpha says, shocking them all. Shadow King Mordecai's eyes widen in surprise. "But my emperor, you are our leader. Your presence is needed here to guide us through these uncertain times. The most uncertain times will be those spent on that planet, and also, I must be there for reasons none of you could even begin to understand, and that I would rather you all didn't understand." Shadow Emperor Alpha sounds like he is reluctantly saying the things he is saying. Shadow Queen Lilith glances at Shadow Lord Lothar, a worried expression on her face. She takes a deep breath before speaking. "Perhaps it would be best if you reconsider, my emperor. This is no ordinary expedition. The risks are great, and the stakes even higher. We cannot afford to lose you, but the rewards to me personally if I come are beyond any possible risks," Shadow Emperor Alpha says, utter finality in his voice. Shadow King Mordecai nods slowly, his expression grim. "Then so be it, my emperor. We shall prepare for the expedition, and we will bring you back in triumph. But know this, should any harm befall you, we will avenge you with a fury that will know no bounds. Just know, if harm befalls any of you while there," Shadow Emperor Alpha says, quite eerily before then pausing. "The tension is so thick it couldn't even be cut with a knife. Whoever did it would know true pain. Same with their planet." Shadow Emperor Alpha's eyes turn pitch black as he says this. Shadow Queen Lilith and Shadow Lord Lothar exchange worried glances. Shadow King Mordecai clears his throat, trying to break the tension. "Then let us make our preparations. We must leave nothing to chance. We will need the best and brightest minds in our realm to accompany us on this journey. and of course, our most trusted and loyal soldiers. Shadow Emperor Alpha then walks away, gets onto his own personal ship, and flies off, almost as if he knew exactly where he was going. Shadow King Mordecai, Shadow Queen Lilith, and Shadow Lord Lothar remain in the throne room, discussing the details of the expedition. They review maps and reports, debating the best route to take and the supplies that will be needed. Meanwhile, Shadow Emperor Alpha arrives there and approaches an altar of pure darkness and then performs a ritual, transforming the Shadow Stone into what he christens the Dark Stone, the most powerful dark relic currently existent in the entire universe. So, you have finally found it. The disembodied voice echoes from the shadows, making Shadow Emperor Alpha turn around. You have taken the first step. A tall, cloaked figure materializes before him. You are now ready for the final confrontation. Oh, it's you. Shadow Emperor Alpha says in annoyance, much to the cloaked figure's utter confusion at Shadow Emperor Alpha seemingly recognizing him. What do you mean? It's me, the cloaked figure asks, annoyed. This isn't the first time I've been here, you know. I was the one that constructed this altar long ago, Shadow Emperor Alpha says, which further confuses and frustrates the cloaked figure. Who knows that the altar was constructed over 1,000 years ago? I'm not who you think I am, and I'm not here to stop you. I'm here to warn you. The cloaked figure says, you are about to unleash a power that will change everything. There are forces at work here that you cannot possibly understand. You may think you are in control, but you are being manipulated. No, I am the manipulator, Shadow Emperor Alpha says as he summons a tendril of darkness from himself. And the cloaked figure then realizes that what was formerly the Dark Emperor is standing before him. The cloaked figure steps back, obviously shaken by the revelation. You're the Dark Emperor, reborn. But why? That is a very long story. I simply came here to make my Dark Stone here and take the Dark Planet World back with me for future purposes. Shadow Emperor Alpha then says. The cloaked figure frowns, and you think taking the Dark Planet back will solve your problems. It will only create more. The Dark Planet is a prison for a reason. If you release what's trapped there, you'll unleash a power that could destroy everything. I plan to absorb it at some point anyways, so yeah, shut up before I decide to butcher you from existence, like the God Emperors tried and failed to do to me. Shadow Emperor Alpha says casually yet brutally. The cloaked figure sighs. You are beyond my comprehension and beyond my power to stop. I can only hope that whatever forces you unleash, they serve a greater purpose than your petty desires. I hope to change existence itself, Shadow Emperor Alpha says with utter determination and fury. The cloaked figure shakes his head. You are too far gone, but know this. Whatever path you choose, there will be consequences. You cannot undo what you've done here. The future you create will not be the one you intend. Shadow Emperor Alpha then bursts out laughing. Once I'm done, time and even existence itself will be mere putty in my hands, Shadow Emperor Alpha says. And even with no interference or anything, the cloaked figure notes that he has the potential to eventually have enough power for that to be the case, let alone if he gains further power. That may be so, the cloaked figure says, but know this: with great power comes great responsibility. You may achieve your goals, but at what cost? You will forever change the balance of power in the universe. And what of the innocents caught in the crossfire? What of those who will suffer and die because of your ambition? Some may need to die, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Literally infinite people die every instant throughout all of existence. Shadow Emperor Alpha says casually, you speak of a world beyond human understanding, but I think you underestimate the weight of your actions. Even if you can't see it, there are consequences. You can't just play God without paying the price. You should have said that to the God Emperors, but their power is long since broken since I shattered the sacred relic. Shadow Emperor Alpha says, and the cloaked figure is shocked to hear that the sacred relic was shattered. And even if it was, you're no different. The cloaked figure replies, you think you can play with powers beyond your comprehension and not be consumed by them. You think you can manipulate the universe and not be manipulated in return. You are a fool, Shadow Emperor Alpha, a puppet dancing on the strings of forces you cannot even begin to understand. That is only something a puppet would believe. Shadow Emperor Alpha says, completely breaking the cloaked figure's mind and perception of reality with one single sentence. The cloaked figure looks at Shadow Emperor Alpha, seeing not a mere mortal, but an individual who has transcended reality itself, someone who has become more than what he was meant to be, someone who has defied the very laws of existence. There is a spark in his eyes, a determination that burns brighter than any star, and a knowledge that spans eons. He is no longer just Shadow Emperor Alpha, but a being that has become something greater, something more terrible and wonderful than anything the universe has ever seen. Shadow Emperor Alpha then hops back into his ship and flies back to the solar system, bringing the dark planet world with him. The cloaked figure watches the Shadow Emperor Alpha depart, his heart heavy with the knowledge of what is to come. He knows that he has failed in his task. That Shadow Emperor Alpha will continue on his path of destruction and chaos. But even as he despairs, he also feels a sense of awe and wonder at the magnitude of what has transpired.